I have taken other courses in the past, and I am in other support groups as well, but nothing is quite like Rich Stylist Academy, because you guys are actually very active. You're supportive. There's never a feeling within the group of anyone being jealous. It's all positive. It's all encouraging. And most importantly, you both are active in there. So it's not just like the blind leading the blind. You guys have created a really amazing community for stylists that want to do better.
Welcome to the Rich Stylist Podcast, where we dive deep into the world of hair extensions. I'm your host, Ashley, and today I have the pleasure of talking to one of my favorite people and a great friend of mine, Tania Crawford. Tania is an expert in the art of hair extensions, a multiple six-figure stylist, and let me tell you, she is very much on her way to being a seven-figure stylist, and she is a successful multiple business entrepreneur. Tania is located in Destin, Florida, and has built an impressive portfolio of clients. With her kind and sassy personality and her keen eye for detail, Tania has mastered the craft of hair extensions, platinum blonding, bridal hair, and even professional makeup artistry. She is amazing. In addition to her success as a stylist, Tania has also ventured into the world of entrepreneurship, launching multiple successful businesses. She is a true trailblazer in the industry, and I'm really looking forward to hearing her story and her insights on how she built a thriving beauty business and what is next for Tania. You're definitely going to want to take some notes, as Tania shares so much valuable info on this podcast, as well as being an active and supportive member and mentor inside of Rich Stylist Academy. Tania, I am so excited you're here today with Alex and I. Alex is a surprise today.
Hi, everyone.
On the podcast. But you are so amazing, and I'm so happy we're friends and you're a part of the Rich Stylist community. You are the most incredible extensionist and the baddest of the baddest, and I just love you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, guys.
What I wanted to do is just dive right into the juicy parts of this podcast, and let's talk about your 2022. Let's talk about money. Let's just dive into the money. Tell us what was great about your 2022, and tell us about the money that you made.
Okay, well, 2022, I had to think really fast what year it was, but I had a really great year. I didn't think I could top really the prior years, but I still managed to make more than the two prior years since COVID. And I had a fantastic year. I really can't complain. I definitely hit my mark that I wanted to make.
So you and Alex had a really great chat inside of Rich Stylist a few months ago, talking about money and business and credit cards and business credit, right? And all those taxes, all those types of things. And one of the things that kind of prompted this conversation on the podcast today was the idea, and Alex and I talked about this in our previous podcast, was creating your own economy, like how you can really create your personal economy. And it doesn't matter what's happening on the outside. And your post, Tania, inside of Rich Stylist, would you share roughly like what you shared inside the group about even given a recession?
And all the fear really that was out there and has been out there even the last, 12 months about recession, this is happening, all that kind of stuff.
It was a little bit worrisome at some point because, every outlet, every person that you saw was worried about, what was going to happen. But even though things looked not so rosy, I had a really rosy month. So I made over 50K that month, and it was amazing. It was my highest month that I've ever had, and I'm planning to have a lot more of those.
Now, I'm going to restate what she just said. She said $50,000 for the month. Not 15, not 5, 50. Even though the world and the news and a lot of people talking are saying there's a recession.
No one's spending anything.
No one's, to hold back. No one's spending money.
Right.
And that's why it's a perfect example of no, you get to choose. You get to create your own economy. And it doesn't matter what other people are saying is happening. And you are, I can say it all day, but you are the example right now that is true.
I want to chime in on that as well, because everyone's got their own idea of success in the hair industry and in life in general. The reason I think that we bring the podcast here and interview these different styles is really because, you know, this one size fits all successful business inside of the industry is not the same for everyone. Like some people want the whole thing of, hey, I want multiple salons, and others want to work 5 days a week, and others want to work 7 days a week. Some want to work 2 days a week. Some want to work 3 days a month. Some want to travel. Some want people to travel to them. There's not a one size fits all, and that's really important. The cool thing about the podcast is being able to see different successful hair extension businesses and then being able to resonate and sort of pick and choose and find what you like, what feels good for you. Breaking yours down, Tania, I really see you as an amazing example of someone that has really mastered their craft, not only on the technical side, but on the business side. And then you're really living the multiple streams of income and the retire rich philosophy that so many people dream of and want to have, but it seems so unobtainable. So I do think you are living proof of that. Give us the breakdown of that in 2022, what that looked like. Like, how much did you make in the whole year? How much of that was hair extensions? What are you looking to build when it comes to multiple streams of income? Just give us a direction there.
So currently I have, obviously, like we already said, multiple streams of income. I have my behind the chair. I have my champagne card and champagne bottle art business. I have my bridal business and of course retail. And adding more to it this year, but just behind the chair, I made over 400K. And then combined with the other ones, I hit that 500K plus.
That's incredible. Now, speaking of that too, some people may be listening and think like, oh, well, it's got to be because she's got people triple booking, or she's got, she owns a salon,
or
and that's
7
where
days a week, or
that's where all the money's coming from. But can you tell us a little bit about what your schedule, what your day, like what a day in the salon looks like for you and how you have it set up?
I prefer, now looking at it from like a little bit more of like a better outside perspective. I feel like, owning multiple salons is not going to make you, make that much money behind the chair because you have so much overhead. Keeping your overhead really low, that's what's going to make you be able to go home with a lot more. So I booth rent. I currently rent one chair. I used to rent two when I had assistants working for me, but I'm completely doing this on my own. I have no help. So
by choice.
By choice.
By choice.
But I'm going to be honest, I was never a morning person until I wanted to make a lot of money. So a lot of times my days I start at 6:30, 7 a.m. There is days I don't come home until 8 or 9 p.m. So it just depends. But for the most part, I have a lot of services that I charge hourly. Some are a la carte. And I have a lot of consultations booked throughout the week. And then a lot of my big services are performed on Sundays, like really big lengthening services. Like I'm talking like 4,000 and up. And then my volume services, I stagger throughout the week.
What I think is really inspiring too, and so cool to hear that you are doing this like a solo stylist, booth renter, and it is 100% possible because you're living that and doing it. Because I feel like so many stylists think that, well, I'll make more money when I have an assistant. I'll be that stylist, or I'll make that kind of money when I'm able to rent 3 chairs and I have all 3 chairs full and I have just things like back to back to back. And that doesn't have to be the case. Like, you're the example of you've decided to write your own story a different way. And you're like, hey, you know what? I can still make $50,000 a month in the salon doing it the way I want to, just me behind the chair.
Another thing is you're not in New York or LA, and I hear that all the time. It's like, oh, I could make that money if I lived in New York or LA.
That's such a great
point.
Like,
you're in Destin, Florida.
Actually, something really cool that I heard a couple years ago. I went to the Moroccan Oil Academy, and their main person was actually hosting the class, and it was like by invite only. And he was telling us that when he worked as a stylist in LA, it was the most he made and the littlest he went home with, because the commission that he had to give up was so much. And also, like, you have to tip everyone out, your front desk, your shampoo person, like everyone that's there. So he said he made the least amount of money when he was living there. Now, cost of living for us is about the same as it would be living in LA. In Destin, it's a very expensive area to live, and cost of cost of living, just groceries, gas, is way more than other parts of Florida. But also, we live in an area that I kind of call like the bubble. We have a lot of retired people here, and people that don't work your average jobs. So they don't really like rely on.
I feel like almost every city has like that subsection of, whatever bubble you want to call it. I mean, even us, we're in like a tiny little beach town. There is a bubble here of like those neighborhoods or whatever it might be where, yeah, they've got the income, and even if they don't have the income, they've got the need, and they are positioned at that. The way that I kind of frame that, Tania, and we've talked about and people have heard on the podcast before, is like, go for a drive and you will see cars that cost $100,000, any Escalades, Yukons, Suburbans, that kind of thing. Or go to Zillow and type in your zip code and search from high to low. There are houses that cost $2 million, $3 million, $5 million in just about every area there is. That's an indicator of the kind of wealth that is there and clientele. Someone's got to be doing their hair.
Exactly.
So why not you?
Yeah. So what was it like in the past? Like, has it always been that way? Were you just that one in a million that wealth and fortune was just thrust upon you? Like, take us back in your journey.
Well, I worked really hard to get where I'm at today. Like, I put the hours in when others wanted to go home or wanted to go party. Like, when I started out, I worked 3 jobs. I made sometimes $25 a week, Like, it wasn't fun, but honestly, I wouldn't trade it because I feel like it makes me appreciate where I'm at, like, so much more. And also, I feel like all the other jobs that I've had, they contributed to my other streams of income. So I worked in cosmetics for a really long time. I worked for Mac as one of their artists. And so also worked in like a wedding contractor business. So I was contracted out to work for them and go on location. They took a commission. Well, I have a bridal business. I do this with my artists too. So it all kind of set me up for what I'm doing now.
So Tania, just closing that loop on the recession piece, because that whole buzzword and all of the fear associated with that puts panic and fear into many stylists, and then that affects the way that they market because they are flooded with beliefs that no one wants to buy this and all that kind of stuff. I mean, you and I have talked about, and for for most people and most stylists, it's like your net worth and your income is not necessarily going to like plummet unless like most of your money is tied up in commodities and stocks and all that kind of stuff. So in reality, there's not much fear there. But for you and the clients that you're talking about, even with recession on the horizon or whatever it might be, like, do you see it affecting your business, or what's the actual truth there of what happens?
So I feel like there's a little bit of both. Some people are trying to hold on to their money. I think we definitely see it in retail. Like, people aren't as inclined of buying a bunch of products, but then you have the other extreme that buys so much, you're like, where are they getting all this money from? But that's not my business. If they want to spend it with me, I'm happy with it. But the same with like getting extensions done. I've noticed it, like, it's either one extreme or the other. There's nothing like really in between.
And you feel they kind of level each other out in a way almost?
Yes.
And Tania, something that you said prior to us starting the podcast, it was that people, even a recession, they spend their money on cosmetics and hair. And I thought that was really cool and clever. I thought, yeah, because people want to feel good, right?
My grandma obviously went through a really deep depression after World War II. And one thing, obviously, they couldn't go on vacation. They couldn't do, luxe things. But that was the time Chanel No. 5 perfume got sold the most. And it's because men wanted to give their wives something nice that made them feel good. And they all got their hair done. So hair is like the first thing people notice when they see you. If somebody has good hair, they're like, wow, she's so put together, you know? So,
And from a feeling perspective, it's with extensions anyway, in particular, it's the thing that really can elevate confidence, and you've got more confidence. That leads to so many other things, whether it's job opportunities, whether it's romantic opportunities, whatever it might be. So
Right.
that's why extensions really are so valuable as well.
Yeah.
So you're this multiple streams of income queen, but for everyone listening here, I think it's a really important point to make that just starting out, going straight into multiple streams of income is not really the smartest thing to do. And we've talked about this before, that really any stylist that is certified with extensions or passionate about extensions can and really must be making at least $10,000 a month with hair extensions. Can you speak on that, and even your journey getting to $10,000 months? Was that your just main focus at that time? That was like the main objective?
I think like my goal was to, at least, I was working at a commission salon at the time. Like my goal, including tips and retail, was to take home at least $2,500 a week. And once I got to that point, I was like, okay, now it's time to just go out on my own, because I can, supply my own overhead and I will still make the same amount of money, because, owners take a commission from you. So if you're a commission stylist and you feel like, oh, I can't do this on my own, like once you make $10,000 before commission, like not including tips, like it's time for you to go on out on your own, because you're giving away all this money that you could be using to improving yourself. So I think once I made that and then went out on my own, I had the best month I ever had, because I was just so motivated by seeing like what was coming in daily through my credit card swipes, that it just kept on making me go further.
Yeah, like having those like dings on your phone, like the reminder. Yeah, and I actually think, by the way, like that's such a great abundance tool or money mindset tool, is like the only notification on your phone, like have it be like the money coming in. That way,
Yeah.
even if it's only a $5 or something that comes in, it's just that you see like the positive money notifications coming in, and it keeps you in that space of like abundance and going, okay, there's money there, money's available, money's coming to me. Like just seeing that keeps you in that space, and it also keeps you, like you said, like motivated for more. It keeps you going, okay, I can do this, let's keep going, because I want more of that. I want more notifications on my phone saying like ding ding, like cha-ching, money's coming in.
Yes, I love it. It's my favorite sound.
Yes.
What do you think holds stylists back from really being able to hit that 10K base level when it comes to extensions? Because there's so many stylists out there with certifications, but they have not reached that point or really like cracked the code on having consistent $10,000 months with hair extensions.
I think has a lot to do with if you work in a commission salon, who your salon owner is, if they want you to sit at the same table as them, if they want you to sit at, the kids' table and be away from them. But also who your mentor is, who you're surrounded with, your work ethic plays a huge role, but also just like, limiting beliefs can hold you back too. If you feel like, oh, I don't want to share this on social media because I think it looks, stupid. Or
Are you speaking from experience there? What's going on?
so you just got to put yourself out there, and then the rest will follow. But I think also, the ideal client, how you have that exercise, and we had it in unapologetic hair pro. I think that helps too, and just reminding yourself who your ideal client is, because you rather have them in your chair than 10 that you don't vibe with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just making the experience the best that they have, so they tell their friends, and just be like a leading expert. Nobody wants to go to an amateur.
And I tell people that inside Rich Stylist, I'm like, if you want people to remember you, teach people something. So like share online what you're great at, showcasing yourself as an expert, because even if potential clients looking at your page don't really know what you're talking about, because they don't know like the industry terms and the industry lingo, they still go, okay, I don't know what she's talking about, or I don't know what he or she or that person is talking about, but I like it and I know they know what they're talking about, and I want to go to that person because I know that they're an expert. And it's so important, even as you're getting started. Like you don't have, number one, no one knows everything. and anyone that thinks they know everything is already like falling behind. You need to stay open to always be, to learning. But even when you're first getting started, share what you know. Share what you're doing to that client's hair. Like we always say, like share under the hood. Like share the application process and the bonds or the attachments, whatever you're doing, because that is important to be able to try the kind of clientele that you want and showcasing yourself as an expert. And you've always done that so well.
And I think like one big step that I took too, once I started making a little bit more money, was the first investment that I put back into myself was actually paying somebody really amazing to do my website. And I know people say like websites are kind of like a thing of the past. Nobody really goes on it, but I actually have to disagree. Like, yeah, the first thing they see is your social. So obviously you want that to look really good. But taking it a step further, I mean, if you look at plastic surgeons, I mean, yeah, you find them on social nowadays, but then, you Google if they have YouTube tutorials of what they're doing, or talking about something. Now, I don't have YouTube, but my next thing would be go check them out on the website, see what they're all about, what are the FAQs, and it's a direct representation of yourself. So that should not be cheap. You definitely want to like have a really good one.
I totally agree with you.
That I send to my website and be like, hey, please fill out this form that unfortunately Alex still gets too. I'm sorry.
I still get the notifications.
Oh,
I've got tabs on your business.
Once they fill it out, they always tell me I had to show my husband your website, how good it was. Even he was impressed. And most of the time they're like businessmen. So they're like, dang, she's actually like professional and she's serious about her profession, because I think that's what discredits us hairstylists the most. When we don't take our profession seriously, they will not take you seriously. They think you're some joke that you can push around if you don't show up for your appointment. Oh, it's fine. I'll reschedule. She'll get me back in. And I'm just not about that life. If you don't show up, you get charged.
that's so important to take your profession seriously, because if you want serious money, you need to treat your business like it's serious. And I love that about you. I've always seen that from you. And it has always come through with like you and your personality, your vibe, your social media, your website, all the things. Your website is beautiful. And obviously your social media is beautiful too. But it comes across from like the moment that you go to your space on the internet, you're like, okay, Tania is legit and she's serious, which means she's going to be serious about her business and her money, but she's also going to be serious about doing my hair the right way. So it's all really connected and it's all really important. If you're not taking it seriously, it shows. And social media is part of that equation too now. I mean, a lot of people say, oh, I don't, social media, I don't want to do it. It's like, well, it's part of you online these days. And if you don't have it and it's not showing up in a great way, unfortunately, it's a red flag now.
I think so too. And I think, if somebody's scared of their social media, just be yourself. I cuss. I sometimes look homeless at the salon, but you know what? It makes me so much more lovable. And
Tania's homeless.
my clients appreciate it so much. They think it's more approachable than somebody that constantly is like perfect, And I feel like people can relate to that, because we all have a day where we have a messy bun and we're in loungewear and UGG boots, like it's fine.
Absolutely.
So it's funny, you mentioned before one thing, and this kind of goes into what I'd love to talk about next, which is you talked about your inquiry form, and we have a very specific system that is one of our like main systems inside of Rich Stylist, and it freaking fixes so much. It makes your business and your life so good, and it really like I never like to think of one thing being like a secret weapon, but that is really one of our best and most proprietary secret weapons inside of Rich Stylist. You and I set that up together. That's why Tania said, like, I still get the notifications going, not by design, it's completely by accident. One day you'll get in there and like take me off the notification chain.
I don't know how to do it, but maybe it makes you happy seeing my inquiries.
It's fine. I'm like, dang, yeah, that client looks good. That'll be good for Tania. But it's interesting. So we set that up together years ago, and clearly it's made a huge difference, and it is a system that we teach inside of Rich Stylist. But talk about why that is so powerful from a client attraction standpoint, because what most stylists are struggling with is this BS where they, post something on their stories and all they get is a DM saying, how much is this? And then they get stuck because they want a client. All of a sudden they get stuck in this back and forth conversation about it's this much and tell me about your hair. And just essentially, it's very easy to waste half an hour of time doing an Instagram DM consultation in a way, instead of actually, filtering in or out that client through the system that we have. Just talk about that. Talk about the before and talk about why this is so effective and powerful for you now.
It weeds out the people that are not seriously, but also who has time to respond to somebody for hours. Like, if somebody keeps asking me for a price through a DM, I already know, like, they're a red flag. I'm not going to schedule them. I know that sounds bad and I'm prejudged, but it is because they're concerned about the price. It's like shopping for a discount doctor,
Can you imagine,
house builder, I'm sorry, but like, if you're gonna get extensions and you obviously are coming to me, you see my Instagram, you see my website, like, be prepared to spend top dollar. I'm not gonna rip you off, but also I'm gonna be charging what it takes to get where you need to be.
For years, I've said it's way more expensive to hire an amateur than it is to hire a professional.
Absolutely.
Be prepared for the unexpected costs. I mean,
Yes.
literally in anything, right? Like go build a house, go get anything custom done, whatever it might be. Cheap can be way more expensive, and it's so funny. Like, it's a problem with these with some stylists out there. They'll post the meme on Instagram that says, cheap hair ain't good, good hair ain't cheap. But then in their business, all they're doing is attracting like cheap clients, or I don't know. It's just it does get a bit ironic.
It's usually posted on page. Well, I'll stop. Usually it
whole other podcast. That's like late night podcast. Let's not go there.
Well, midnight podcast, fireside chat. I'm like, usually it doesn't fit.
Yeah. But anyway, to your point, it does a really effective job of I don't really like saying weeding out, but just filtering out.
But everybody knows what that means.
Everyone knows what it means. Yeah, just filtering out clients that probably aren't going to be ideal for you, and bringing in the ones so that there isn't this. A lot of stylists struggle with anxiety around pricing and talking about pricing, and it really alleviates that if you've got this kind of system. So it's just great seeing that even years later, it's been this incredibly powerful thing for you to attract the right kind of clients. And client attraction is one of the main parts of really the Rich Stylist system. Tell us about your other kind of secrets around client attraction. How do you get your best clients? What does that look like for you?
So I've seen a couple posts floating around this too, that people don't like to book more than 3 appointments. Actually, they don't like to pre-book more than 1 appointment for people because they want to be available for others. But my clients are all amazing. I want them to pre-book 3 appointments. Now, I only allow 1 rebook per quarter. If they do more than that, all their appointments are canceled and they're on a waiting list. Okay. So they know, like, they will move in another appointment just to see me. And I think just having that booking 3 times out, or even some clients that book out for 6 months because they know how hard it is to get in with you. It's like, the whole thing with Hermes, people wait months to just get an appointment at an Hermes store. If it's desirable, people want to see it. It's not easy to get.
They want it more.
So, just being on that wait list, it's better. And I just think it's good to pre-book. Plus that's, money you can already plan for, and everything else is extra. Now, I do have a couple months throughout the year that are really extension heavy, just because it happens from like when they came in for their consult and got their initial install. I have really good retention service. So most of my clients, after 4 or 5 months, they switch out their their extensions. So some I see twice a year, others I see 3 times a year. Some I even see 4 times a year. It just depends on how much hair they get and so on. And so in those months that I'm really extension heavy and I really have no openings whatsoever, I usually put in my story, I am accepting 2 more extension clients until the summer. If you are wanting to get this done, book your consultation now by filling out my application form to be considered as a new stylist. I mean, new extension, not stylist.
Client, extension client.
I usually have a really high success rate. Sometimes it's even people that had taken a break from extensions and they messaged me and they're like, okay, I'm ready to have them back in because they know how hard it is to get in. So it's more of like being exclusive.
Using scarcity and urgency in your marketing is so important. And, there's a whole rabbit. You and I need to do another talk inside of Rich Stylist about like, age-old marketing psychology.
Yeah.
How to use it.
How to use it in your hair business.
Yeah,
too.
read like Influenced by Robert Cialdini. I mean, all of these things that you're talking about, limiting supply, exclusivity. I mean, look at the best brands in the world. That's what they do.
I say this often inside of Rich Stylist. I'm like, stop, and you mentioned this earlier, it's like, stop looking at your hair business as, oh, it's just little old me just doing hair. No, like, think of yourself as a CEO. Think of yourself as your own company and at least have that energy coming to it, because even though maybe it's just you and you are just doing a little bit of hair every week for starters, you have to have that energy and that vision to be like, no, I'm a big deal. I'm great at what I do. This is my company. This is my business. And the other thing is look at other industries. Don't just look at the hair industry as, well, so-and-so does this, so I have to do this way, or so-and-so, like, no, look outside the industry. I always say, like you mentioned too, look at the plastic surgery industry. Look at the luxury designer industry. How are they marketing themselves? Again, like limited availability, high-end hotels. Like, look at the verbiage and the wording that they use, the way they position themselves, the way they market things. Like, take pieces of that and bring it into your hair business. It will literally change everything. I talk often about like the Gucci and the Chanel stores, and people are always concerned about like a price increase. Well, I don't know. Like, I feel like I need to send out a thing and say, due to this and due to that, there'll be a 5% increase. And I'm like, bitch, no. Does Chanel tell you that? I just wanted to say, like, we really appreciate your business, but things are going to be a little bit more expensive in 2023 because like the leather is.
Don't tell them. I just raised the price.
That's what I mean. But like, you luxury designer stores don't do that. Actually, you expect them to go up every year. I think it was Chanel's that go up 8% or 10%, something every year. And you go in, oh great, a bag 10 years ago that used to be $5,000 is now like $8,000-$9,000, and it's like they're not apologizing. So take some of that energy and bring it into your hair business, because it will serve you really, really well. And that is what you do with your business, Tania, and it has served you greatly.
The ideal client isn't going to like haggle you on price, if you think about it, right? So we always talk about this ideal client. That's not just the ideal client from, I guess, a vibe perspective or even like a hair perspective or a skill perspective. It's literally like the ideal client is also a match financially for you.
Yes.
And like a lot of stylists out there, you attract like who you are, not really what you want. You attract who you are, not what you want. So if you're on that, what we call like the wealth frequency, and have that kind of energy.
Tania's on the wealth frequency.
Tania's like above the wealth frequency.
Yeah. She's like, I created the wealth frequency.
But that's one of the big things there. So going back, like client attraction, all of those secrets there, and we've talked about 10K months and reaching that milestone before you look to other streams of income. Something else here, because for the people, I mean, no one should be or would be rolling their eyes here, but I love, like, you really do shatter so many ceilings and beliefs for so many people, Tania. And I think another one of them to touch on is work-life balance. Tell us how that plays in, because what does that look like? What's your family life look like? Relationships? What goes on with Tania outside of this $500,000 making boss babe in the salon?
So my boyfriend stayed home for the last 2 years because he was taking care of Mason, my baby, who's now 2 years old.
I know people are probably listening to this thinking, oh, well, she can do it. Like, look at her. She's got the Instagram. She's got the education. She has the history. Or maybe she was, given this business on a silver platter and there's no way she can have kids. But listen, she is a mom also.
I am. And people sometimes forget that because, when I'm at the salon, I don't talk about my child 24/7 either. Of course, if they ask me, I will answer. But, ultimately, it's fun talking business and stuff with your clients when they're in the chair. And they appreciate that. They don't want to hear about dirty diapers and how many milk bottles he drank. But yeah, so we've been balancing work and, home life pretty well. I work a lot of hours, but, I have a great support system with Gabriel. Now he's getting ready to go back to work. So we're actually like looking for some help to help with picking Mason up from school and taking care of him in the afternoon. So that's going to be our next like thing to do. And that's something too, like when you have kids, like it doesn't stop you from doing things. And I can just talk from my own experience too. Like, my mom obviously loves me, but I think she always kind of, had some sort of thing where she felt like she couldn't be in her old profession because she had me and she needed a consistent paycheck. She didn't want to be on a commission based. And I never wanted to be like that. And I think, that's why your goal should always be make 10K. If you need to hire a live-in nanny, if you're by yourself, if you're a single mom, you can do it. Hire a live-in nanny, get an au pair. Like you can do it. It doesn't cost that much in the grand scheme, and you can end up actually making more money.
You have to have the determination and motivation behind it. When people say, oh, well, it's going to cost so much money, I'm like, well, it is if you're not going to take that time and put it to good use and put it to action. You obviously put major action behind everything that you do.
You ultimately have to buy back your time in many different areas of life, and helping out with a child is one of those areas. I would agree. We talked about this, I can't remember the podcast or somewhere else, where you do really want to, in our opinion anyway, children want to see their parents like go for it.
Yeah.
Mom was the one that actually went for it. She lived her life because guess what? They're inspired by that, and it gives them permission to do the same.
Absolutely.
But ultimately, buying back your time becomes so important because all these dreams of, balance time with your kid, whatever it might be, you've got to have the income to be able to hire the housekeeper. And I've got a training actually that's about to go into Rich Stylist Academy all about buying back your time and really the stages to do that. Like step one is stop cleaning your dishes and doing your laundry. It costs this much to hire that kind of thing out, right? But again, people think they're being smart and like saving money by not hiring a housekeeper and doing it themselves. And it's like, you could literally get back probably 10 or 12 hours a week. With extensions, really you should be making $200 to $300 an hour minimum, and look at what that gives you, that time back. So
if you can take those hours that you're paying someone to do something
and turn them into income producing hours.
Exactly. The key is turning that time into income producing activities.
Yeah, we've got a whole thing on that. We can't even go into it now, but and the other piece there, Tania, on you and I guess like your long-term vision for the thing. I use the word balance. The other myth around that is that a lot of people think that they need to like have a balanced day. And one thing we've taught, and you probably recall us, teaching years ago, is you got to think about balance in larger increments. So people are trying to have like a balanced day and a balanced week, where it's like, I need to make sure I get up early, do yoga, spend time with my significant other, spend time with my kid, meditate, eat
healthy,
a salad, call my mom, watch my investments, all that kind of stuff, all in a single day.
And work.
Right?
Do social media.
And then even like in a week, it's hard to cram all those things in a balanced way for a week. But when you think about balance in almost like seasons, and for some people that's 3 months, for some people it's 6, for some people it's a year.
Or you may look at it at a year, like where is my balance this year?
A long-term plan. Putting focus and energy in different areas. I know for a fact that when you are spending time with Mason, it is so present. It's just you guys. It's not texting your clients in between or anything like that. But you've really bought that privilege and that time to be able to do that with him. Is that sort of right?
So I try to make it a point, like at least 30 minutes, undivided attention, even if it's we go like to the mall and they have those electric little trains that he can ride on. I'll ride it with him, and we just have a good time. Or if it's at home, like I play with him. but or we read a book together. But I think a lot of times if you spend a whole day with your child, I mean, you can't tell me you're not turning on the TV, you're not checking your phone, scrolling Instagram, TikTok, like it's better to have 30 minutes present than a whole day where you're constantly distracted.
And you've also talked about, you're working and hustling hard at different, seasons or periods throughout the year so that you can literally vacay, party hard, and not focus on work for that time as well. So what does that look like for you? What's important to you? Work-life balance, and again, thinking about it in larger increments.
So I travel a lot for work to begin with throughout the year, especially with my bradal business. I do a lot of destination weddings. So I get to go to some really cool places and stay at nice resorts. But when I go on vacation, I don't want anything to be spared out. So if I'm going to spend the money, go somewhere, I want it to be relaxing. I want there to be no chance of anything to be, not lush and glam.
Nothing's going wrong. You're like, I'm paying for it to go smoothly. It's just my time. Yeah.
So that's like my main focus. If I'm going to spend the money to go somewhere with my family, I want it to be relaxing. I want it to be a beautiful atmosphere. We always fly first class when we go somewhere as a family. And I think that's important, but I also think it's important for people that maybe don't see the value in flying first class. I mean, once you set that standard for somebody, they're going to want it all their life. So if you introduce them to that, they know this is what they have to do to keep that standard up. It's going to motivate them to be exactly the same. Gabriel and Mason stop by my work every single day too, after he picks them up from school and he sees me at work. And I think that's really important because he knows I'm there, I'm hustling, I'm making the money. And that's what allows us to do all the fun things. That's what allows him to go to private school, all the shabam, So I think it's a good example.
It's an incredible example. I love everything you just shared so much. I don't even know how to explain it. It was so perfect, truly, and it was so inspiring. I think that it's so important and smart to set a standard for what you want your life and also your child's life to look like, because as Mason grows up, he's going to know that his mom worked so hard and he got to see you doing it. It wasn't just mom's away all day and I don't know what she's doing. For him to see like, yeah, this is what mom does and this is the life we're able to have because of the choices that my mom has made. It's incredible.
Thanks.
She's like, I like it.
Yeah, I and that's why I get so mad when people say, oh, I would never spend money on that. I'm like, who cares if you want to spend money on it? I want to spend money on it. And I think it's fantastic. If I'm going to have a wider seat and I get snacks unlimited and champagne and my baby can have his orange juice and cheer with me in first class, I'm good.
It's so cute and sweet. I loved that picture you shared on Facebook. I was like, oh, he's the cutest little thing.
Where he demanded more yogurt.
Yeah, yogurt. And he's like sitting back and he's got a little phone and he's got his like little juice there and it's so cute.
Lily's definitely got her quirks in first class as well up there. She's hilarious.
Do you know one of the funniest things, speaking of that, and now it's funny, Alex and I talked about this, the first class thing briefly, I think in our last podcast. And again, because it's all about like protecting your energy, buying your time back, like protecting your peace, like all those types of things with the experiences that you choose to have. But one of the flights, Lily and I were sitting next to each other in first class, and Lily, she loves the airplane pretzels, obviously. I mean, what kid doesn't like little pretzels? So she asked the person, she's like, may I have some pretzels? And the guy was so funny. To Lily, he goes, honey, pretzels are for Coach. And I burst out laughing because Lily just wanted to, he goes, honey, pretzels are for Coach.
And he's like, let me bring you a warm cookie or something.
He's like, let me bring you some warm cashews.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
It was hysterical. He did actually go get her pretzels.
Yeah, from the back.
From the back. Yeah. But I just laughed so hard. I thought, oh my goodness gracious.
But you know, like first class, and we talk about this in Rich Stylist all the time. It's posturing, it's positioning. It does increase your self-worth. I would challenge anyone on their next flight to fly first class, because it also gives you a taste of like the luxury that you're trying to attract into your business. You know what I mean?
Even
like,
for that alone.
For that alone, because
you need to see what people that spend money want. And just for the record, I didn't say this on the last podcast because I saw someone made a comment one time on some post when we were talking about money mindset in first class, and they said, well, just so you know that like not everybody pays for first class. Like a lot of, like the people in first class are people on the flight crew that are like work for the airlines that are upgraded. I'm like, that's actually not true.
Well, people with status, airline status.
Yes, status, of course. Like we get upgraded a lot because of status. We didn't technically buy the seat every time. Sometimes we do. It depends.
Yeah.
But a lot of times
it did. You're loyal to the airline.
You've got to spend a significant amount.
Well, people are like, oh, nobody spent, you didn't spend it, you upgraded. I'm like, yeah, but trust me, we bought the seat.
Yeah.
We didn't buy it that day, but we bought it in the past.
Yeah, you bought it.
Yeah. So when people say those things like, oh, but it's upgrades, like no one's buying them. I'm like, yes, they did.
I'm going to do a whole episode here on the podcast one day of just the comments that get left on some of our like posts about first class. It's insane.
They're so entertaining.
Like, well, but it, in a way, it just validates more of what we're trying to do, which is really increase the standard of the whole profession and help people with their mindset around limiting beliefs around money, because it just keeps you trapped.
One time a girl posted something and she was like, I don't know what y'all are talking about. Like, there's no hair extension education, like meaning certification, not education. There's no certification online more expensive than $200, and she like linked brands that like have a $200, and I'm thinking, okay,
it just goes to prove, that's why there's only a 1%.
Yeah.
You have 99% of people that are like that. I don't want to be like
that. But the thing too is like being closed-minded to it, instead of looking at what someone's written or watching the video and going, like being open to the possibility that maybe something is true that you don't know about yet. That's the key with everything in life, with your relationships, with your money, with your education, like just staying curious and staying open and releasing judgment around things and around experiences. Going, well, maybe I wonder if there's something I don't know. Mm-hmm. If you could just ask that with everything, I wonder if there's something I don't know. Imagine the things that you're going to find. I mean, imagine if you and I, Tania, had the mindset our whole entire career that people will not pay more than $500 for extensions, and education, meaning certification to get certified with a company, should not cost more than $200. Think how broke you would be.
Like so narrow, yeah.
Would you ever have gotten to where you are if that was the hardcore belief that you held onto so tightly?
No.
This plays into, and something I want to ask you about, Tania, is really community and what role that has played in your growth, because I've zero doubt that obviously the hustle and the ethic and everything that you've done, that's on you, and that's even why like being at this, I picture you like top of the mountain, even though really you're just getting started. Like, and I know that for a fact.
We know you.
We're just here to cheer you on the sidelines as well and support whenever, because we consider you a dear friend. But what role has community played in your growth, both in the sense of like participating in community or like peers, whatever you want to call it, and also I think you've talked about before, like almost opting out and ignoring certain not communities per se, but it's like mindset. So really it's that who you hang around with is who you become. You want to hang around with like 5 people that make $4,000, $3,000 a month with hair, guess what?
And a negative mindset.
And a negative mindset.
That's the key.
Tell us how that's played in your journey.
I'm always said from a very young age, I've always had that tunnel vision. Like if I really wanted something, like nobody was going to stop me or tell me otherwise. I was just going to do it. And I think same thing goes with like community wise. Like if I don't see a value in like hanging out with them or whatnot, I don't care what they have to say. I just like do this and go my own lane. But I also feel like it is important to have certain people in your corner that are like-minded, and that doesn't have to necessarily mean they're in the same profession as you. It could be a different one. Like I have a client, she comes every 4 or 5 weeks, sits in my chair. I find her so inspiring. Like I will sometimes text her and just ask like random questions. She loves it though, because her kids don't want to ask her. So she loves it. And that motivates me. I have a really close friend. She owns a permanent makeup and spa studio in Birmingham, and we always bounce off ideas, just finding those right people, just like you guys, like I love chatting with you too. It's fun, and you get to see what other people are doing, and then you're like, I really like that. Maybe I should do that too. And it just keeps you going, keeps you pushing, doesn't keep you at the same level. Like it makes you want to do better. And that's why I think like it's so great we have Rich Stylist Academy, because we're all a group of people, some that aren't quite there yet, but they want to get there and they're just getting started. And how inspiring is it for them to see people that are like halfway there or see their milestones and are like, oh yeah, I want to do this too. I can be there, and it just helps.
Well, you're such an incredible contributor and mentor inside of Rich Stylist. So I always appreciate like your knowledge and feedback. And again, bringing us back to how we started this conversation was your post about making $50,000 even in quote a recession was so inspiring for stylists. And what prompted this conversation today was because you have to see what's possible. And you're such a great example. I had to pin that to the top of the group, and it's still pinned at the top of the group because when people come in going, listen, like there is unlimited possibility in this industry. When you surround yourself with the right people, you block out the bullshit. You're surrounded by an inspiring group of stylists. Like possibilities are absolutely endless, and they really do truly go even beyond just the behind the chair income. Like again, you're a great example of that too, and I think that's why you and I are such great friends, is because it's always growing and it's always more, and you get ideas from each other about what's next. And you're never even though you like Alex said, like you're at the top, but for you it's not at the top. You're just like you're just still
yeah.
It's so incredible. Thank you.
I think like an era of 6-figure stylist is all good, but like I think the 7-figure stylist is gonna be the next thing, and it can't be possible.
Definitely.
And I think, just like you said, like not just in one area. I think, we as hairstylists have always been taught like we're part of the beauty industry, and so I feel like a lot of people, they just think not any further than the beauty industry. There's so much more that we can do, and you don't have to have a huge background in it. If you don't have a background, you have your people in your chair that do this. They're all from different professions. Just ask the questions, ask what you need to know, pick their brain. And then, if they inspire you, do something with that too.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Tania, what would be like your final piece of advice for stylists listening right now?
Final piece of advice for stylists listening right now, starting out or already a couple years in and wanting to do better, is your first initial step is to be making 10K a month, period, because that will help you and open doors for you to do better, because you can reinvest it into yourself, meaning like a babysitter, a house cleaner, to give you more time so you don't have to cut your days short. And that can help you lead to multiple streams of income afterwards. But your first initial goal should be that 10K a month as your base income.
I will say, like, that is what we do inside of Rich Stylist, and you're a big part of that, Tania. Like, we help people get to that 10K base. And honestly, just making 1K, making 10K one time, that's awesome, but that's not gonna, we want to get that, your base to be the 10K, so that you have that comfort level, but while you're on your way to the next milestone. But you can take that 10K base, which is very doable.
Very
doable. I know people think like, oh, 10K, oh, that's for people like that. That's for this. And it's hard. It is not hard. It's not hard when you're surrounded by the right people. You have examples, just like you, Tania, saying, are you crazy? Look, I did it too, and I'm a mom, and when I started, I was making $25 a week. It is absolutely possible for you too. You have to put your blinders on and be surrounded by people like us, just like you, to know that it's possible, and to have the framework of this is what these people did. So I'm going to follow in these footsteps and take this same path and have, like I said, the framework of getting to a 10K business and getting that as your base. So that's what we do in Rich Stylist.
I want to give you both also a big compliment because I have taken other courses in the past and I am in other support groups as well, but nothing is quite like Rich Stylist Academy because you guys are actually very active. You're supportive. There's never a feeling within the group of anyone being jealous. It's all positive. It's all encouraging. And most importantly, you both are active in there. So it's not just like the blind leading the blind, you know? So I think you guys created a really amazing community for stylists that want to do better.
Thank you so much. That means so much. And I'm not in any other people's groups, so I don't know the contrast. So I appreciate you sharing that because like I said, personally, I don't know what it's like, but I do know that in creating Rich Stylist, it was so important to nurture the people, always be active. I mean, it's something that we do day in and day out.
And having a commitment to growth and really practicing what we preach in many ways as well. So,
yeah, and the thing is, like Rich Stylist, it is once you're a part of the fam, you're a part of it. Like Tania, you've been with us and with our community for like what, 4 something years now. I mean, at least it'd have to be 4 years.
Maybe even 5. I don't know.
My thing with Rich Stylist is that I want it to be like your kind of one-stop shop, but also once you're a part of it, you're never out. It's not like, oh, this is a 6-month thing and then the new round of people come in. I just don't like that. Like, I want to be able to support people in their different
chapters as well, right? Because even now, the level of conversation that we all had years ago is a different level of conversation now. Because back then it was maybe more mindset and these things and this marketing piece, whatever it might be. Now, when we talk, it's like multiple streams of income and what are you doing and where are you investing and all those kinds of things. So to be able to grow as time goes on, like with you, is so important.
Well, and that's what we talk about, like in Rich Stylist, and it's not just exclusive to. I mean, obviously, mainly Rich Stylist is focused initially on your behind the chair income, but as the stylists have grown, as years have gone by, you know, Alex just added the credit card training and the buying your time back. Well, like we are expanding, like as the stylists are expanding because we are too as people. And Rich Stylist is not only just your behind the chair income; it is like rich in all the wonderful areas of your life and how we can support that. So again, I'm happy to hear that coming from you because I feel that way about Rich Stylist, but I mean, I can say that all day long, of course, but for someone else to say it, it goes, I think, a lot further.
You don't feel like a number, you know, and that's how you sometimes feel I have in the past taking other courses. You're just a number, you know, like it doesn't really matter. They don't check in with you how your stuff is doing. I feel like yours is a lot more like a community. So I think anyone that gets to be part of this definitely gets to benefit from you guys' knowledge, but also from everyone else's that is in there because everyone shares.
They do. And there's no jealousy. There's no like weird hierarchy or
abundance
anything.
Creates more abundance.
Yeah. It's interesting to explain because I've never seen a Facebook group like it. I mean, I'm not in any other industry groups, but just other groups on Facebook. Sometimes they can be just weird, like, I don't know, just not active and jealousy a lot. But yeah, we love it.
Yeah, wouldn't be the same without people like you.
It would absolutely not be.
You're perfect.
Yeah.
Thanks, but like you said, you attract who you want in your group, right? Yes.
That is 100% true, and we have an awesome community. So this has been such a great conversation. This has been so fun, and I think it would be great to have another podcast together because I think there's so many like other areas we could get more detailed on with your story and such. So that would be fun.
Thanks for being here, Tania, and taking the time. We super appreciate it.
Well, of course. Thanks for having me. It's been lovely Sunday morning with you, ladies and gentlemen.
We love you, and we'll talk soon. Would you like to be the highest paid hair extensionist in your city? 86% of stylists make $3,000 to $5,000 per month. But as an extensionist, you can make that kind of money in one single day. If you're already certified by one of the top companies and you want to make the most money possible with that certification, then I'd love to invite you to discover Rich Stylist Academy. This is an elite mentorship where I give you the secrets to attracting the best clients, doing the best transformations, and making the most money. Stylists in this mentorship commonly have 3K days, $10,000 months, and 6-figure years. Space is very limited as we only accept 10 stylists per month to this mentorship. Click the link and fill out the quick free application and see if it's a fit for you.